Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. Here are one of those weeks on the charts where not a lot seemed to really happen, but still gives you a weird feeling of foreboding regardless. Believe it or not, I got that feeling pretty strongly this week, because despite the fact that very few new songs dropped or impacted the charts in any largely significant way, I can still see things that are coming up for change across the board as the summer settles in, and some of those changes don't look to be all that good, and that does concern me. Case in point, our top 10. Yeah, See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth held on to the number one spot, but it lost airplay and sales hard this week, which means it just managed to have enough in streaming and YouTube to hold on, but I don't suspect it'll hold on for much longer. Now, you'd think that Bad Blood by Taylor Swift and Kendrick Lamar would have enough to replace it. I mean, it's got strong YouTube, potent sales, still gaining in airplay, albeit a little bit more slowly, but without streaming or Spotify to push it over the top, it remains stuck in at number 2, and honestly, I can't see it rising above that. Trap Queen by Fetty Wap hits in at number 3, thanks to still ruling streaming and holding steady on YouTube and sales, but airplay's been falling steadily for a while now, and it's a stronger challenger. I can't see the song holding on forever. Now this takes us to our big challenger, Cheerleader by Omi at number 4. At this point, all the odds are in its favor. I mean, sure, it's not quite dominant in sales just yet, and it did slip oddly a little on YouTube, but it's got reasonable streaming, it's got good airplay gains all week. Given the summer's coming on in force, I'd be shocked if a breezy track like this doesn't rise higher in the next couple of weeks. It was even enough to push back Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon to number 5, but that might have happened regardless. I mean, there was a drop in streaming, sales, and finally starting to bleed a little bit of airplay. It looks like its respectable top 10 run might be starting to fade away, and honestly, surprising it lasted this long. What's not fading away against all expectations is Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars, still in at number 6 for all the same reasons, losing a little bit in all categories, but not quite enough to code it out, except in YouTube, which is providing it all the stability it needs to somehow hold on. And as I predicted last week, Want to Want Me by Jason Derulo slipped right past it to fall to number 7, thanks to losses in streaming and serious blows to airplay and sales. I reckon it'll be overtaken by Hey Mama by David Guetta, BB Rexa, Nicki Minaj, and Afrojack within a week or two, as that song went up to number 8, because at least that song's healthy in airplay, gaining in streaming, and it's got some stability in sales. The other track reaping all the benefits here is Honey I'm Good by Andy Grammer, which is here because it's solid in sales and solid in airplay. And at this point, stability will be what keeps that track in the top 10 more than anything else. Finally, there's Earned It by The Weeknd, and the surprise here is that it hasn't fallen out of the top 10 entirely, as it spent the week losing airplay and streaming with abysmal sales. Besides, there are better songs from The Weeknd that are coming up on the charts. I think everybody's kind of sick of this one, so I'm okay to see it gone. But before we get to all that, let's talk about our losers and dropouts. Latter case, not a lot of surprises. Time of Our Lives by Pitbull and Neo ends up a respectable chart run, as does Chains by Nick Jonas, whereas All Day by Kanye West, Theophilus London, Alan Kingdom, and Paul McCartney, and I Want You to Know by Zedd and Selena Gomez feel cut off a little bit prematurely short, which really isn't all that surprising given how both songs are underwhelming. Most of our losers in this week fall into a similar category of falling a little short. Pretty Girls by Iggy Azalea and Britney Spears continues to be a spectacular flop and fall extremely short by losing again to 81, and Nasty by Band of Gang Marco featuring Dro skids down to 99. No issue from me on either of these, they both suck. Now the rest of our losers are in country, and they just show evidence of just kind of getting elbowed out of the way by new country songs coming in for the summer. Smoke by 1,000 Horses drops down to 75 after a respectable run for a debut single from a debut band. Wild Child by Kenny Chesney and Grace Potter slides down to 67, and Sippin' on Fire by Flora Georgia Line finally takes a hit to number 60. I'm suspecting to see some of those songs fade out, even if it is before their time. But unlike our gains last week, none of our winners are country songs coming up. And yes, I include Sam Hunt's House Party in that category. I mean, come on all you guys, you know that's not a country track, even despite going up to 52. Unsurprisingly, the radio still has a massive appetite for Michael Jackson wannabes, which is why Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd went up to number 12. It'll be in the top 10 soon. But also, the radio apparently wants to have a repeat of Fancy from last year for some bizarre reason, which is why Chedda and Roman G and Arthur's exasperating ripoff of that song Classic Man went up to 50. The success of our last two gains, though, does surprise me, so let's start with Renegades by Ex-Ambassadors. It can't all be because of that car commercial, right? I'm not really complaining here. As indie folk rock goes, it's not bad by any stretch of the mind, but I can think of a whole slew of acts in a very similar vein on, say, Canadian radio that'd be a lot better. And speaking of Canadians, we've got Shawn Mendes' Stitches, likely to get another big boost next week due to that the video just dropped hours ago. Overall, the song isn't bad, but again, when you had a lead-off single as strong as Something Big, Stitches, definitely a downgrade. And on that note, let's talk about our returning entries, the first of which is definitely a downgrade.
I woke up feeling like I was on the moon. I woke up feeling like I need 100 gold. Look at the flick of that wrist. 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 Look at the flick of that wrist.
At this point, you know, with this song, I've talked about it so many times, there's a part of me that's just resigned to the fact that Vine's not gonna go away. We're gonna get asinine crap coasting off of this for the next little while until kids hop into the next trend. But let me ask you something. Could it at least be less completely generic and annoying as this? We already had a Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan, and the majority of the time, we don't want them either. Ugh, this song sucks. Next.
I wish I could paint our love, these moments in vibrant. Wordplay turns into gunplay, turns into pillow talk turns into sweet dreams turn into coffee in the morning.
Ugh. Now that's more like it. You know, given how much The Weeknd and Miguel play in very similar territory, it's kind of amazing when you think about it how much stronger and more enjoyable Miguel's sound is, with a much greater command of atmosphere and production mix balance, lyrics that don't feel quite as obsessed with hedonistic nihilism, and the usage of bass guitar and electric guitar in a way that actually has some tightness and groove to it that sounds great. But I think the biggest difference ties to the fact that Miguel, he makes it all look easy and effortless, with a sort of genuine charisma that falls closer to Usher than, say, The Weeknd, even though Miguel's vocal runs aren't quite as strong as Usher's. Even though he does make a good case for it on the back half of the song, he brings a lot of real raw passion. It sounds great. But yeah, I've said it before, Coffee goddamn rules. Awesome R&B song. Great to see it back on the charts thanks to the video. And it's definitely got me really psyched to review his upcoming album. Great song.
We'll light up the sky, we'll open the clouds, 'cause baby tonight, we're beautiful now, we're beautiful.
So back when I covered this track about a month ago, I mentioned how it didn't really click with me. Not bad per se, but just missing the impact thanks to the underweight backing vocals against the fuzzier synth line and the heavier pitch correction slathered over Josh Bellion's singing. Since then, I haven't listened to this song since, and returning to it a month later as it returns to the charts thanks to the video, my opinion hasn't changed. Even though I will say that brief percussion escalation before the bridge, pretty solid. I do like it. Otherwise, song's okay, I guess. So yeah, not a lot to really say about these returning entries, so now on to our new arrivals, starting with number 100, Good Thing by Sage the Gemini featuring Nick Jonas.
We can make the good thing keep happening, good thing keep happening. I know, you know, we know. We can make the good thing keep happening, good thing keep happening. I ain't never felt the.
You ever see collaborations on songs, you ever just wonder why? I mean, these are two people working together who don't even seem to inhabit the same pop ecosystem or radio stations, let alone show up in the same song. That was the thought I initially had when I saw Sage the Gemini, a rapper who I don't think has been on anything remotely good, and Nick Jonas, a singer trying and mostly failing at being Justin Timberlake, collaborating together on this song. The surprising thing is the song's actually pretty good. For one, it's much more of Nick Jonas' song than Sage the Gemini's. He's got the pre-chorus, he's got the chorus, and even despite Sage the Gemini's lower tones and shouts over the chorus that are pretty audible, he's really not a huge presence on the song. But then again, I wouldn't exactly mind if Sage the Gemini had more of a presence. Yeah, his technical rapping skill is nothing special or all that good, but his flow in the second verse is actually really good. And the overall concept of the song of finding feelings creeping into the whole sexual hookup and just kind of rolling with it and enjoying it all, it actually is pretty solid. I like the conceit. I won't say the tone of the song entirely works. Nick Jonas sells the uncertainty, but I'm not sure he conveys enough of the raw exhilaration that comes with making such a decision. Beyond that, I like the acoustic elements, but the ghostly background textures and that thick wobbling synth over the chorus makes this song feel oddly bleaker than I would expect for a song celebrating a good thing that they want to keep happening. Overall, I expected this song to blow, but honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not great, but you know what? It's good enough this week. Number 93, Sparks by Hilary Duff. So I already already talked a little bit about this song when I reviewed Breathe In, Breathe Out last week. I honestly don't really have a lot more to say about this song, mostly because the elements that I like about it cancel out with the stuff that I don't like. The whistling hook is good, the chipmunk echo of it annoys the hell out of me. Percussion is overemphasized, but it's got a lot of punch and texture. Hilary Duff's delivery doesn't really do a lot for me, but the pseudo Britney Spears approach of the song, it mostly works. I guess if I were to come to a conclusion about Sparks, it'd be that I wish that other songs from that comeback album had been chosen as a lead-off single instead of this, because, well, it's okay. Nothing all that special. Number 87, Marvin Gaye by Charlie Puth featuring Meghan Trainor.
Get it on. You got the healing that I want. Just like they say in the song. Until the dawn, let's Marvin Gaye and get it on.
You know, I've always said it's a little bit awkward to criticize a fellow YouTuber on the show. I mean, hashtag Team Internet, support more people on the platform, all that jazz. But when said YouTuber has been a bigger reason than Wiz Khalifa while people care about the #1 song in the country now for 10 weeks, I'm inclined to be a little less charitable and admit that See You Again doesn't really do a lot for me. Yeah, it's a good tribute, it's a decent song, but the parallels between it and Candle in the Wind 97, especially in the chart runs, they're pretty stark for me. And let's be honest, Charlie Puth is no Elton John. Honestly, I'm surprised it's taken him this long to have another charting single. And he got it by working with Meghan Trainor, who increasingly finds more reasons to annoy the hell out of me with every single week that dear future husband is on that charts. And just like Meghan Trainor's entire career, Marvin Gaye must be the most painfully white version of anything related to black culture on the radio I've heard in a long time. Seriously, don't we already have Michael Bublé to make this sort of stuff? Because this is so goddamn stiff. From the flat squonk of the horns to the faux scratchiness of the pre-chorus to those goddamn gang vocals on the chorus that don't belong at all. And I bet they're trying to evoke Marvin Gaye, a goddamn legend in soul and R&B, for a track that if it wasn't for a few kind of cute references, you'd be forgiven that the artist had never even heard of sex. This isn't tight or soulful, even remotely interesting, or Lord knows it's not sexy. And since we got Coffee back on the charts this week, I've got no use for this. Next, number 84, Bitch I'm Madonna by Madonna featuring Nicki Minaj. All you asked and kept on asking why I didn't cover Rebel Heart. Do I even really need to answer the question at this point? Just look at this. Look at it. It's goddamn heartbreaking as a guy who will stand up for Madonna as being one of the most transformative and important pop stars of all time. Dead serious. Certain artists would not have a career. Certain pop icons today would not have careers if Madonna hadn't paved the way for it. Katy Perry is in the video. She's one of them. But her most recent material has stumbled really hard. This is coming from a guy who genuinely loved that song 4 Minutes that she did with Justin Timberlake in the 2000s. For at least the past decade, Madonna's been on a quest to try to retain youth and relevance in a pop scene that only rewards it for a short time and gave Madonna more than her fair share of the spotlight. In this track, all the more evidence, following the Taylor Swift template of cameos to draw views to the video and recruiting Diplo to give this song the slightest hint of underground instrumental relevance. But you know what? At least when Kesha stole a nursery rhyme cadence for Take It Off, it was half parody and at least played partially subversive and the instrumentation wasn't terrible. Whereas here it's played straight, coupled with a synth on the outro that sounds less like a saw and more like fingernails scratching on an oily balloon that just won't pop. Coupled with the siren, the complete lack of driving groove and momentum, the gratuitous autotune slathered all over Madonna's vocals, the plastic chiptune, and Nicki Minaj for some reason sounding like Azealia Banks for no adequately explained reason. This song just seems designed to annoy the piss out of me. And that's before we get to the lyrics, which are asinine. Madonna, if you're such a presence, why are you pouring beers into your shoes? That's gross. When you're bragging that you're such a bad bitch, why are you doing that when your career should do it for you? And if this song is designed for you to assert you are Madonna, why'd you let Nicki Minaj say it on her final bar? Is she Madonna now? No, I'm sorry. This song is flailing and desperate and sad in the worst possible way. And the saddest part of all of it is that anybody following Madonna's career over the past couple of years probably saw it coming. This is really bad. Next. And finally, number 73, Ghost Town by Adam Lambert.
My heart is a ghost town.
You know, it seems like for the past few weeks, I have been deluged with requests to cover Adam Lambert's newest album, The Original High, or at least give some opinion on the guy. So, okay, here it is. For the most part, I like him, but don't love him. Coming out of the mid-period American Idol as the runner-up, he quickly distinguished himself as having a ton of raw charisma, more than the winner that year, and a lot of power, and that first record for Your Entertainment did a ton to establish his presence as a potent new pop star. Unfortunately, a lot of his momentum kind of went away with his follow-up album, Trespassing, which took a lot of that energy and paired it with a lot of Dr. Luke's recycled production of that year, and surprisingly sterile and underweight lyrics, almost reminiscent of what happened with Marina and the Diamonds that same year, which is really kind of sad. Thankfully, he still had singles like the title track produced by Pharrell that did manage to stick out, but it wasn't exactly much that got me excited about a new album from Adam Lambert. And after listening to the lead-off single from the original High, I gotta admit I'm still not excited and I still don't really want to review the album. Sure, I get that he wanted to ease back on the campy theatricality. That can be tough to maintain unless you're a mad genius like Freddie Mercury, but there's just not that much in the song to really dig into. When the song isn't stuck to an acoustic guitar, it's mired in this fog of reverb over a dark synth line, a whistle, and a snap. And sure, that's good for a dance melody, I guess, but when you have one of the most powerful male voices in pop music, this is all you give him to do? Especially given the bitter horror imagery of the lyrics that emphasize shattered dreams that could have afforded to be a lot more visceral in the instrumentation? When you have a voice as raw and explosive as Adam Lambert, you want to give him something a little bit more rougher production to work with, instead of a progression that, let's be honest, anybody could use this. It's not a bad song, don't get me wrong here, but it sure as hell doesn't really give me incentive to hear the album, because this, not a lot to it. So yeah, it might have been a bit of a brief week, but we didn't exactly get a lot of quality. Coffee easily runs away with the best of the week again, but for honorable mention, I'm gonna give it to Sage the Gemini and Nick Jonas for Good Thing, which turned out a lot better than I expected. Honestly, I didn't expect to ever give this to Sage the Gemini. Worst of the week? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give Flicka the Wrist by Chedda Connect a break this week and only give it dishonorable mention, with the worst of the week going to Bitch on Madonna by Madonna and Nicki Minaj. We heard not only being easily the most annoying and least listenable track, but also considerably the most disappointing and the most really sad. Let's hope for better next week, even though I doubt it. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.